Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar, Sustainability in E-Commerce Logistics. We are just waiting for everybody to arrive here. Just giving everybody the opportunity to join the event as well. Hope you're all well. The sun is not shining in Berlin, but at least it's not raining. And more people joining. That is great. All right. I think we will start our webinar. So before I welcome all of you again to our webinar. Before I start, I just want to introduce myself quickly to you so that you know a bit more about myself. I'm Bettina. I'm Director of Sales and Customer Success here at WH1. What is my e-commerce experience? I founded my own web shop a while ago, more than 12 years ago now, where the first fulfillment businesses kind of emerged. I then went on to manage a fashion brand in Berlin, where we were selling our fashion via our own web shop, but also via about 300 retail stores worldwide. And then I moved on and worked in a startup where we were specializing on visual search for retail and industrial enterprises, so enabling consumers to search with pictures instead of text. Today, I'm going to share with you a few insights into how you can be more sustainable in your e-commerce business. And many of them you might know already, you have introduced to your business already. Some of them you might not know, and I hope you will take away some useful insights and you can apply to your business today. Feel free to post some questions during the webinar, and we will have enough time afterwards to talk about these. If I don't have enough time, feel free to get in touch with me and we can talk about it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Before we head into our topics, I just want to give you a brief overview of what I'm going to talk today about, today. The first topic I want to shortly talk about is the whole legislation, the background, and why sustainability should be in the forefront of your business. We will then dig deeper into 5 topics where I believe you can have a major impact to be more sustainable. That's first of all, procurement. What approaches can you take to have a more sustainable procurement, not just where you're sourcing your products, but all other services or products you might be using in your daily business. Another topic, packaging. It's one of the biggest topics discussed. There are loads of developments happening, so I give you more insights into that area. Another topic very close to my current position here is I will talk about sustainable warehouses. What are warehouses doing, or what can you do in your warehouse to be more sustainable? What do the processes look like? How is it built, etc.? So hopefully I can share more insights here. The next topic will be last mile delivery. It's one of the topics I feel in the startup world that we hear about. It's highly discussed. What are the new market developments? And we are going to look into the big players. We've done a little research into their sustainability strategies, but we will also share some innovations in the market, what's out there, what's happening, and what might be coming onto the market in the near future for you to use. And the last topic is going to be returns, a very important topic. How can you minimize returns with your e-commerce business to be more sustainable in your business? But before you start with all of that, it would be great to get some insights about you. So it would be great if you could answer our poll. Where are you at with your business when it comes to sustainability? So let me see. We have started in some areas, 71%. We have a pretty good setup so far, 14%, and we have not started at all, 14%. It's changing slightly, but the top one is we have started in some areas, and this is what I expected as well. So thank you for answering our poll. We have got another question. What are the sustainability goals in your business? So where do you want to get to? Great. Again, if you could share your insights. Oh, awesome. I want to be a pioneer in sustainability in my industry. Over 70% answered that, 75%. I want to use sustainability as a strategic branding aspect, very interesting as well. And I want to realize the legal minimum, 0%. I like that. It's going into the right direction. Perfect. Thank you very much. And let's move on with our first topic. Right. So, the importance of sustainability for your company strategy. Let's start looking why sustainability should be on top of your agenda. First and foremost, we serve our customers, right? And with the increased e-commerce logistics, which is a follow-up situation from COVID, etc., and the whole global development, transportation critics are getting louder as well with regards to long-term consequences for our planet. So low-emission delivery, sustainable packaging, responsible corporate behavior are often just as important to our consumers as a product itself. So there is a call from our customers itself to be more sustainable. However, it's not just the consumer side asking for more sustainable products and processes. There is a much stronger worldwide call for legislation. And the EU here is very progressive in that. And I will share with you in a minute some legislations. But also from inside companies, especially from larger companies, corporate social responsibility is getting more and more important within businesses, where call-outs from companies themselves, they want to look into more processes. Where can they move the needle? Where can they be more sustainable? So let's look into the long list of legislation. I've just listed a few because there are quite a lot of them out there. I just want to mention quickly one or two to you. There is the EU packaging regulation. You all probably heard about it. What does it say? It says that by 2030, the EU aims that 10% of all shipments have to be done via reusable packaging. And this quota is going to increase year over year in different phases. Another legislation which I find quite interesting and also important is the Ökodesign-Verordnung, which is the eco-design regulations, which says that products that enter the EU should be sustainable. So it aims to ensure that in future, only products can enter the internal market if they're manufactured in a resource-saving manner, so that they're durable, that they're repairable, that they're recyclable, and that they're being produced energy efficient. Most of these regulations here are only applicable for larger companies from 3,000 employees upwards. And some of them are applicable to smaller businesses as well. But I always find it's really interesting to keep on top of the legislation, even if it's not applicable for you, because you can always see or find some things you can adapt in your business. Another one, the last one I want to highlight is the right to repair. You probably all heard about it. Consumer goods will have the right to be repaired during warranty times. And that's a legal requirement that will be quite interesting as well if you're thinking what products you basically want to sell in the EU market and how you want to extend your product portfolio as well. All right, next I want to quickly introduce you to the GHG protocol, which stands for Greenhouse Gas Protocol. What is it? It's basically a globalized, standardized framework to manage and measure greenhouse gas emissions from private and public sector operations. And nowadays, 9 out of 10 Fortune 500 companies are reporting to this framework already. But what does it mean? It basically means it has 3 scopes. The first scope is looking into direct emissions. So basically, what emissions are you causing by manufacturing your products? Which emissions are you causing with your own internal fleet of vehicles, with your building or with your own warehouse? The scope 2, which is next in the framework, is linked to the indirect emissions like heating and electricity. And scope 3 is where we mainly jump into in this webinar. We talk about products and services that are purchased externally and that do not fall within the direct sphere of influence of your company. However, there are certain demands and processes you can set in place to ensure that you can work to scope 3. Right, let's move on. These are the 5 biggest levers we figured out we want to talk today a bit more in detail. So first of all, it's going to be procurement. Then we will dig into packaging, warehousing, last mile delivery, and returns. So let's start with procurement. I feel the most obvious thing you can do and look at this procurement process is, what products are you selling? Do they have certain certifications? Depending on what you're selling, there are certain certifications out there to be more sustainable. For example, for textile and fashion industry, you can manufacture to the GOTS certificate, which is a global organic textile standard, which not just takes care of environmental issues, but also of social impact on the workers. For example, the fashion business I was managing, we were manufacturing to GOTS with the GOTS certificate. And that means that not only the cotton is grown without pesticides, but that the workers that work in the spinning mills or in the dyeing factories are not exposed to harmful chemicals. So it's the whole supply chain this certificate applies to. Other certificates for products could be Fair Trade or FCS, which is a forest stewardship certification. But what else can you do in procurement? On top of the agenda, I think, is engaging with your suppliers, promote sustainable practices throughout the whole supply chain, encourage your suppliers to reduce waste, energy consumption, and emissions while ensuring at the same time fair labor practices. Reduce packaging and waste. Speak to your suppliers how they package their goods. Does it need a plastic bag? What are the alternatives out there? Can all packaging be reused again and use certified packaging only? So there are a lot of things and questions you can put out there to your suppliers and engage with them in a proactive way. Transportation with your suppliers is a huge impact as well. It's a huge factor. So how can you minimize carbon footprint on here? One idea might be to ship consolidated orders only. Are there any partnerships you can enter, for example, even with competitors? You can save on shipping costs and minimize the carbon footprint. You can ship with carbon-friendly, eco-friendly shipping methods only. And like I said before, just be proactive. We feel that from our customers, we feel they're a lot more proactive, asking for a lot more sustainable processes when deciding for a fulfiller. Another thought which is often discussed about is the global sourcing versus local sourcing. Where are your products coming from? Where are they being manufactured? And how long do they have to travel to get here? How do they travel here? By train, by plane, by land? And Also, are there alternatives available? So can the same product be manufactured closer to you? And put the cost next to it. Is it really that more expensive if you can save a lot more CO2 and your customers would be fine with it? And something very easy to implement is consider partnering with logistic companies that offer carbon neutral shipping or offset programs as such. And another point for procurement in product sourcing is a product life cycle. Quite often it's like an afterthought, but I think with the new legislation coming in, it's going to be even more important. So consider the environmental impact of your products throughout the whole life cycle, from sourcing of raw materials to manufacturing, distribution, and disposal. And aim to extend the lifespan of your products, that they're repairable, that they're not ending up on a landfill as soon as something is broken. All right, that was information to procurement, and we would like to hear your feedback now. If you would answer our poll now, how much effort did you invest so far in making your procurement more sustainable? Let me see. I can see moderate efforts being taken, significant efforts. All right, the majority is the votes coming in. So the majority has voted for moderate effort. So we actively started incorporating sustainable criteria into our procurement decisions and have made noticeable progress, which is great. We also followed by some effort. So we have made a few changes here, but there's still early days in our sustainability journey, and followed by significant effort. So sustainability is a key consideration in our procurement processes, and we've implemented several initiatives to improve sustainability. This is great. But most of the companies or people here still have room for improvement. All right, let's move on to our next topic. Packaging. The most obvious thing is probably use recyclable packaging. You can use 100% recyclable packaging. As for filling material, use old packaging as well. A lot of our partners do that actually. They shred packaging and use it as filling material. And look out for certifications here as well. Here I would consider the FSC certified paper, and use the same goes for the tape as well. So use adhesive tape with natural rubber adhesive layer. Yes, I mentioned that already. So use cartons cartons, and introduce a reusable packaging as well. There are a lot of startups working on this, but I go into more detail in a minute. Filling material. And one of the topics often overseen is use the smallest packaging available. Going back, just what's happening on the market, there's Adidas, for example, and they have a sustainability packaging initiative. They want to use recycled packaging of 90% of their articles, of 90% of the articles. Or Puma, on the other hand, they got rid of the shoe boxes and they introduced something called the small clever bag, which they reuse, and they're minimizing the use of shoe boxes. They claim that the bag saves them 20 million megajoules of electricity, 1 million liters of water, and 500,000 liters of diesel fuel, and 8,500 tons of paper per year. So small changes can make a huge difference. But these are huge brands, so what can you do? The multiple startups, like I mentioned before, that are looking into testing and offering reusable packaging, and most aim for one packaging to be used 20 or 30 times. And it is said that it needs at least 10 times usage, so 10 times going to a customer backwards or forwards, to really make a difference. I think the challenge these startups are still facing is to find a holistic approach that works over all regions. that you can take away and give back reusable packaging. So it needs to be a wide adoptable rate here. For me, the most overlooked measurement is really using the correct size of packaging to wrap your product. Some of our partners invest here in automated packaging systems. One of them is called Spark, if you want to have a look on YouTube for some nice videos. So what they do here, it's like a conveyor belt. You can place products on there. The products will be measured and the perfect fit carton will be put around the products. And shops have shown to save material cost of up to 30%, but also transport volume, which for me is the biggest impact here. So you can cut a transport volume of up to 50%, which is great for your cost, but also great for your CO2 footprint. But you might not be able to invest into a Spark machine. And so what can you do? You can also look at what packaging have you got available. I think we all know it. You order a book and you get a massive carton, or you order one small item and you get a big, huge carton and you wonder why. So just imagine everybody's doing it, the volume you can save and the packaging you can save. So have a look if you're having different products. Smaller products have different packaging available to always use the minimum you have to send. We have also designed a little matrix for you. So if you're thinking about packaging and look at the different initiatives out there, what you can do, what you can adapt, the best thing to start would probably to have an impact effort matrix. Yeah, as what's low effort, what's high effort, what's low impact, what's high impact, and slot these initiatives on there and have a look, what are the easy wins you can get, and avoid the money pits. Yeah, what can you realize quickly without having to pay too much money. And now I would like to get your feedback on how much effort did you invest so far in making your packaging more sustainability. We're having another poll open. Let me see. Okay, it's a bit more distributed. We've put max effort in. We've dedicated extensive resources and efforts on the same level as some effort and significant effort. This is great news because for me as well, it's probably one of the biggest levers you can look into. It's your packaging. So no one has minimal or moderate effort. Awesome. Thank you very much. Let's move on to our next topic. Sustainable warehousing. So let's look what we can find here. We've asked AI what the most sustainable warehouse would look like. It looks awesome. I like it. It's a lot of green. It's a lot of renewable energy on the roof there. I can see some bikes and not many trucks actually. But let's have a look what some of our partners or most of our partners doing already. So there's obviously energy efficiency. Warehouses can implement energy efficiency lighting, heating, ventilation, and cooling systems to reduce energy consumptions. And this might basically start with LED lighting already or using motion sensors. So like in our home, what can you do in a warehouse to be more energy efficient? Naturally, warehouses have a lot of roof space, which is dead space really. And most of our partners actually generate their own electricity by having photovoltaic systems on the roof. So they're creating their own energy, and what's left they're putting back into the network. Reusing renewable energy. I haven't met a warehouse yet that has a windmill on the roof, like in our picture, but you never know, it might still come. Optimized transportation. That's a very important topic, I feel. Check with warehouses how they are optimizing the routes from and to the warehouse to minimize fuel consumptions and emissions, and to minimize the amount of tours that have to be done to a warehouse. using fuel-efficient vehicles and consolidated shipments. Again, making sure that the truck is full before it leaves and not half full or just a few parcels in there. And route optimization, so going from A to B and to C, what's better? What is the best way to reduce your carbon footprint here? There is a green building design, obviously, what we said, like it's a holistic approach. How is it being constructed? What can be retrofitted to a warehouse as well to be more sustainable? There's certain features such as energy efficient insulation or reflective roofing materials to reduce heat absorption and let in natural light, because most of the warehouses, when you drive past them, it's just a shell without any windows, but newer warehouses actually have more daylight. Waste reduction and recycling is a big topic. What can warehouses do to, just a moment, what can warehouses do to help with waste reduction and recycling as well? Can they implement any new strategies? Like I said before, use carton shredded, use it as filling material, use packaging materials that can be reused as well, and involve partnering with recycling companies to ensure proper disposal of waste and promoting the use of reusable packaging. We then have water conservation, another big topic. Warehouses can implement water-saving measures such as low-flow fixtures for water-efficient landscaping or rainwater harvesting. Again, like something we would do at our house at home, we can apply that to a warehouse as well. Supplier engagement, here too, collaborate with suppliers to promote sustainable practices throughout the whole supply chain and encourage suppliers to use more environmentally friendly packaging. Employee training and engagement. Again, it might be just something simple. Train your employees to switch off the lights when they leave and turn off the machines if they're not in use. Use carpooling. Quite often workers coming from the same area, so they can share cars to come into the company. And certifications and standards. There's certain certifications out there warehouses can gain. For example, there is the LEED certification, which stands for Leadership in Energy Environmental Design. There is an ISO 14001 to demonstrate commitment to environmental sustainability and compliance. Or there's a DGNB, which is kind of seen as a gold standard in building warehouses. But there are also indirect certifications warehouses can get. For example, these are basically depending on the products they want to store. For example, I told you before, if you're in textile fashion business, you can manufacture to the GOTS certificate. Warehouses can get that GOTS certificate as well. Or you can use a bio certificate if you want to store mainly consumer goods or food. So check with warehouses what kind of certifications they have and what their aim is to get into. One of the last point on this slide, which I very much like, is automated systems and robotics. There are certain automatic systems out there warehouses are implementing. AutoStore, for example. Again, you can have a look on YouTube for some videos how that works. But AutoStore works on saving energy costs, but also works on making use of that space in your warehouse, because it fills a warehouse like in all areas basically, because it's automated. You don't need too many human interactions to fulfill orders. All right, now let's see how much effort you put into investing to make your warehouse more sustainable, if you have a warehouse, that is. Let's have a look. Right. Votes are still coming in. Moderate effort, minimal effort, some effort, maximum effort. All right. Und on top here we have some effort and moderate effort. All right. So there's always room for improvement. Thank you very much. And let's move on to our next topic, which is last mile delivery. Accenture has done a study. They say that the last mile delivery accounts for about 53% of the total cost of shipping and 41% of total supply chain costs. And with no interactions or interventions, we can expect a 32% jump in carbon emissions from urban delivery traffic by 2030, which is huge. So last mile delivery, not just because of that, a lot of startups are working in that area. We've done a little research. We looked at the 5 big players, shipping carriers here, to look what is their sustainability strategy on the German market. And we were quite surprised. Not surprised about place one. It's our pioneer DHL in shipping conditions anyway, but also in sustainability strategy. Their sustainability strategy is very strong, and they have one of the biggest electrical fleets out there. And they're also investing in projects to lower carbon emissions throughout the company. DPD was lagging behind for some time, but also started in 2024 with a strong sustainability strategy. And they're aiming to be carbon neutral by 2040, following a holistic approach, so looking into loads of different areas. GLS is very transparent about what they're doing and what they plan to do and where they stand in terms of sustainability. And in their latest sustainability report, they saw a rise in their carbon emissions, through which shows that their strategy might not be working as they wished. But we still put them on second place because we feel it's going into the right direction. We then looked into UPS, and although the biggest player is one of the biggest players of these 5, their sustainability strategy is clearly lagging behind. They plan to be carbon neutral by 2050, and they also rely on technology that have proven to not be expedient, such as SAF, the sustainable aviation fuel. And one of their last reports, their strategy was a bit all over the place. So no clear direction or clear commitment from UPS. And which puts Hermes at the end of our ranking. But let's have a look as well what's happening on the market. What are the mega trends and the future of last mile delivery? So there is a big topic, big data, AI. I think you all heard about it, if not too much. But how can it apply to logistics? Thanks to data and automated use of it, it will be much easier to optimize resources in different steps of the last mile delivery. So from planning routes and the load of the delivery vehicles to optimizing delivery times and returns based on available data. Followed by developments in mobility. There have been huge developments in mobility over the last few years. So while the relevance of robots, drones, autonomous vehicles is still limited to isolated testing areas, it might take another few years to be broadly adopted. Electric vehicles, bike deliveries are already redefining our last mile and are pushed by new urban planning focuses, especially in bigger cities, the planning for bigger bike lanes and restrictions for car pollution. There is a nice story I read lately about Starship in Estonia. That's a little delivery robot that's kind of used to. Everybody knows it's driving around the city of Tallinn and delivering goods. And if they get stuck in snow, people actually lift them out of the snow so they can continue their way. So yeah, for now, especially in Berlin, we haven't got drones yet. We haven't got the robots yet. We have bikes. But if you are selling locally as well, look into these options which are available to you and look what your customers would accept in terms of delivery. Another topic is urbanization. If you're selling into urbanized areas, they are micro-fulfillment centers. So people live close together. So deliveries could be or are already sent to parcel shops, to centralized places, which definitely reduces the carbon footprint and helps the delivery drivers as well. So, and again, we have a little poll for you. It would be interesting to see where do you stand? How much effort did you invest so far in making your last mile delivery more sustainable? Let's share your thoughts here. So let's see. We are coming out at some effort, moderate effort, minimal effort, and we have somebody with significant effort. That's awesome. Great, so some effort is the majority answer, followed by moderate effort. Yes, I believe there's always room for improvement. You can always have a look at where are you selling, how are you selling, be proactive, talk to your suppliers, and have different supply chains available for your customers. Now let's move on to our next topic, which is the dark side of returns. It's kind of the bad word of returns. While returns are problematic, not just for the business, but also for the environment, I understand that some businesses choose this strategically. For example, fashion industry, you want to make sure people can actually try their products and send them back. However, here are some numbers I want to share with you. These are US numbers only, but you can see that 24 million tons of CO2 emissions were directly linked to returns. And 4.5 million tons of these are actually landed on landfills. It's a huge number that can be minimized. So what can you do? Because there are some legislations coming up about returns, but what can you actually do to minimize returns in your business? So first of all, the most obvious thing in my eyes is the product description. Describe your products as good as possible. Use different pictures. Use product pictures from different angles. Use videos. Use digital technologies like digital changing cabins or changing rooms, where people can actually post their face and they can try things. Use all these technologies and make sure you're describing the product as best as possible to avoid disappointment and they're being sent back. Extend the return time frame. How does that minimize my returns, you might ask? It's fairly easy. There are studies out there and they say if you extend your return times, the likelihood of people sending back a return or sending products back to you is actually going down. So try it. It's a fairly easy thing to implement. Or charge for returns. Big brands are in the forefront here. You have H&M and Zara, and their customers pay up to €3 for returns. And I think it will also minimize or bring the number of returns down. And motivate your customers to bring returns into offline retail stores or centralized places. Be creative. Have a think how you can do that. Are there any ways you can tap into local retail stores? And use a return portal and data. Again, one of the overlooked things that are happening. There are great return portals out there. WH1 has published one now where customers can actually say what they're sending back. So you save on paper as well, and you have a digital customer journey you can offer to your clients. But most importantly, look at the data of your returned items. You can do that with technology like a returns portal, or if you're using a fulfiller, make sure they collect the right data and share the data with you. We have some fulfillers in our portfolio. They do exactly that and could therefore minimize the returns for their e-commerce stores they're supporting. And if you're sending your products internationally, what we find works quite well is you can send them centralized, so from one location. Let's say you're in Germany and you're selling Europe-wide, you can send them probably all from Germany, but have local returns options for customers. So customers get their money back quicker, and they can consolidate orders and return them to you in a consolidated way and not one by one. All right, returns. Again, would be great to get your feedback. Did you put any measures in place yet to reduce returns? Be great to answer. Let me see. Yes, we have implemented several measurements, comes out on top. That is great. Yes, we've put some measures in place, and no, we haven't implemented any measures and not applicable. Yes, okay, if you're not a business that is selling with returns. Most of the returns actually happen still in fashion industry, so this is where all the new technology is coming into place as well to reduce these. All right, thank you very much for your time. And do you have any further questions? I hope I gave you good insights, good starting points to look further into sustainable approaches. Let's have a look at the questions available. Let me just have a look. Does Warehousing One also offer sustainable logistics services? Yes, definitely we do. Depending on what product you've got, we are working with about over 1,000 locations together. So yes, we have all kinds of sustainable warehousing available. Depending on your product, they have different certifications, they have different sustainable processes in place. So if you're interested, just get in touch with me later. Second question, how do I make sure that the actions I take are not perceived as greenwashing? Yeah, very interesting questions, very good as well. I would suggest just be 100% honest. Show your customers where you are right now, and it's going into the right direction. So you don't have to do everything perfect from the beginning, but every little step helps, and just be honest and transparent with your customers. Don't try to hide anything. Hope that answered the question. And next question, with which of the 5 levers would you start? All right. Again, I think that depends on your company setup. Like I showed you before, the matrix was a good way to start, like an impact effort matrix. So have a look at that, get a matrix together, put your packaging initiatives in there, or any kind of initiatives you're thinking of, or think about where do you have the highest carbon footprint, how can you reduce it, and put these initiatives into a matrix, and then see where are the low-hanging fruits, what can you realize quite quickly before any bigger changes. All right, what other questions have we got? Sustainable transport should be subsidized by transport companies in collaboration with consumer. Prioritize fill ratios of trucks rather than speed. I totally agree with that. It's not a question, it's a comment. Totally agree with that. It's not just about speed, it's about filling. Get the cars full and don't drive a big truck around the city with 1 or 2 parcels in there. Do you have sources for extended return time frame? Very interesting that the return rate goes down. Yes, I can send that to you over later, the source of that information, and feel free to get in touch with me. All right, we have more questions, and we will get back to you after our webinar. I'm just looking at the time, and we have reached the end of the webinar. We will get back to you for all the questions I couldn't answer. I hope you've taken some information away. I hope you've taken some insights and some little things you might change. And thank you very much that you've joined us today.